Hello, Dallas. My name is Bernard Mayer, Director of Content and Creative here at Omnisend, and Dallas is joining us from the land down under in Australia, which is spring, which in Lithuania here it would be hot summer, probably, temperature-wise. How are you doing there?
Yeah, yep, good. It's hot actually here today. It's for spring. It's a really hot day. So I'm managing in the warehouse here, so we're fine.
I see, I see. What is your definition of hot there?
Yeah, 35 plus, I guess.
Okay, that's a toasty one. Here, I think people here would say that 25, 26 is already too hot for them. Yeah, so
Yeah,
the upper limit.
yeah.
All right, so thank you so much for joining us today to talk about Bowy Made and talk about how Omnisend's email and SMS marketing is helping you, reach your customers, generate sales, and hopefully build that brand loyalty so you can keep your customers around for longer. So yeah, I think the first question, the most important question is, can you give a little bit of info, a little background on Bowy Made? Like, what do you do? What makes you special? Why do your customers love you so much?
Yeah, good question. We'd have to go back to the start. So,
Oh,
yeah, I guess we just started about 5 years ago now. It was really my wife's creation. We just had our second daughter.
congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. She's almost 6 now, but just going back. But yeah, so she was really little. We were both really new, I guess, to all the products that you're exposed to when you become a new parent. And yeah, the second time around for us, we started to see the same sort of products and maybe started to see gaps in the market, or things that weren't available to us, especially in Australia. We were importing a lot of goods as well. So, and on top of that, my wife is a really creative person all around. I think she started making headwear for our baby at the time, and she'd walk outside, and everyone would ask where she got it from, and yeah, just sort of built from there. I was involved, like at an agency level, as a designer at the time. So I was pretty aware of marketing and digital platforms, stuff like that. So yeah, I just thought, why don't we give it a go, give it a crack? Maybe we'll sell a few. Yeah, and 5 years later, we're we're still selling a few, and it continued on like that. We've really been organic from the kitchen all the way, everything in between, and learning all those lessons. So. Yeah, that's really been our story, I guess. It's been me and my partner and kids involved the whole way. And a lot of our products are really targeted towards infants and in those first few months of life, I guess.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's the kind of people that look to purchase our things. Yeah.
Yeah, I can really understand that. I have two daughters as well, so I know, especially with the first kid, you have this big, not fear, but you have concerns that the products that you're using are maybe not the best quality. So I can
Absolutely.
understand. Yeah, like I can really understand when with your store, you have, like you said, from A to Z, you've covered the whole production line, organic. You can trust your brand, and so it makes sense that parents would come to you,
Yeah.
to get the quality, things for their kids.
Yeah. And I guess there's an element of teaching at this point as well, because as you know, when you first have your child, it's like, you got to learn all about the pram, the
Yeah.
car feed, the fabrics that the children are wearing, how they're going to sleep, what they sleep in, that kind of thing. So, these are questions we seem to answer a lot of the time, and with our product development, I think that's those kind of questions really help us along the way. And yeah, especially my wife, and she's trying to find new and improved products as well. So
Yeah, definitely. It's a difficult time for parents, so it's great that brands like yours are there to kind of help out, at least in this little part, right?
yeah, exactly. And it is that one time in your life where you're just exposed to all these different, and it's really difficult to try and understand which one is the best, and
Exactly.
how you as a consumer kind of fits into what brands offer on a whole range of things, including marketing and that kind of thing. So yeah.
Nice, nice. So, did you, like the rest of the online world, did you see this kind of boost during COVID, before and during COVID?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That was just something we obviously didn't plan on.
Yeah.
But we were we were as I mentioned, I was already sort of involved in the marketing world, and I knew of digital platforms and how they were used, and especially e-commerce. It was something that, for us, in the early stages, we were never really looking at physical stores or selling directly face to face. It was always a push into the online market, and yeah, when that time of years. 2020, early 2020, we just so happened to be really well positioned with a lot of stock at the time. And yeah, just sort of kind of sprung from there. And things happened past them. We're wondering whether we would see an inevitable downturn. But I think, especially the age group in which, a lot of our customers are at, they were very comfortable, using online platforms, speaking to us through email, ordering online and dealing with delivery couriers and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think this kind of not post-COVID, it's called post-COVID pre-recession period, whatever this phase that we're in.
Yeah.
It's really a great time to focus on that kind of customer longevity or word of mouth kind of referrals to build a relationship, not to sell one time, but try to keep your customers around one way or another for longer, right?
Yeah.
So speaking of that, how and when did you decide to make the switch to Omnisend? And how does it compare to any other ESPs or email marketing services you used before?
Yeah, I guess it was back in those early stages. I was well aware of more of a, I don't know if you call them a foundation sort of email marketing platform. It was like a monkey-based kind of one, but we used a platform that I was aware of, and I had been aware of, through the 2010s, and it was something that I recognized. So we kind of got started with them, and we quickly kind of worked out that it wasn't working with our email. With our e-commerce platform, we needed things to sync. And because we were learning so many things at the time, across the whole business in production, shipping, dealing with a whole range of things, finding Omnisend kind of answered a question immediately for us. We were easily able to migrate all of our, existing lists over to them. And yeah, just quickly found out that the customer experience, the customer service experience was really good. Something that I wasn't used to up to that point. And yeah, it was sort of for me to learn, I'm learning constantly on the go, and to have someone to really talk to, and I sort of learn better through conversation. So I found it refreshing actually for someone to, walk me through, it's not too scary to move an email list from A to B. And it wasn't. It took me one afternoon from memory, but there were questions along the way that I wasn't sure of. Once you start to build, a customer list, and if you are online only, that's your direct sort of connection to your existing base. So I was wary, and I did have a lot of questions, but yeah, the customer service was really neat, and they kind of walked me through the whole process, and yeah, didn't have any.
No, that's great. That's great. Yeah, a lot of times before you do it, things look a bit scary, but once you do it, you realize actually it wasn't so bad. It's pretty easy to do.
Yeah, it's like a lot of things, I guess. But yeah, in terms of email marketing, it was our, you're a little precious, I guess. You don't want to lose any, customers along the way. It's a thing where you don't want any downtime. And we've moved warehouses a few times. It's the same sort of deal. You want it to be as seamless as possible. And you're online, so customers don't get to see those things that happen behind the scenes. So, for things just to happen smoothly and to recognize the whole platform. Yeah, that's kind of the start of us and Omnisend, I say.
Nice. So in that time, what would you say is kind of the greatest value that you have received from using Omnisend?
I was from a marketing background. I understood a lot of things involved in email marketing, but there were things along the way that I learned, through talking with CRMs at Omnisend, through working with copywriters that were helping me a few different things. The power of automation, just how massive that was. And that's evolved ever since I've been, involved in this industry. And with Omnisend, I continually see, updates and upgrades to the automation process. So that's been a massive one for us, just to be able to talk to customers constantly to get those, major points down, and for that to automatically happen, throughout a day. It's a big deal. So, I think that's been awesome.
I think this automation is probably it's an obvious thing once you realize it, once you understand how powerful it is, but a lot of people still think about email marketing as just, sending manual campaigns. But we did some research for the first 6 months of this year. Customers on Omnisend using automation, they made almost 50% of their revenue just from automations. And it was only about 2% of all the emails that they send out is automations, but that makes like almost 50%. So
yeah, amazing. Yeah, and it's the first touch point too. Like for us, I'd imagine a really common one would be the welcome sequence in automation.
It is.
So just, introducing yourself is this, it's the same story each time. It's, like I just told you, we were, very much as a small business. We
exactly
moved through those early stages. It's sort of introducing someone to your brand. And if you can do that really perfectly and automate that, it's really powerful. And you find yourself updating things along the way. But yeah, if you can sort of leverage automation with, campaigning, day-to-day customer service emails, it's like a whole world of emails that sort of exist, and customers get all sides of it without actually knowing, this is how it's been set up.
I think that this is one of those marketing, I guess, what do you call those? Axioms that do a few things, but do them really well, and you will take care of most of your revenue or most of your customers, right? Just a good welcome email, some good campaigns, some good customer service.
Yeah.
And of course, with a good product, you're pretty set for life.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, at the top of the pyramid is the product, but everything else is like, I always put myself in a metaphor of like, I'm in the store, someone walks in the door, I'm sort of communicating with them in that way. Email is our best way to do that. And not even, moving into SMS, but like there's different ways to talk to customers, and you just got to make it effective. I mean, our job as marketers is to do that effectively. And to have, software to really make that easy and, foolproof in a way. It makes it a lot simpler, I guess.
It does. I think that, when you know your customers well, then you can use automation or campaigns or SMS or whatever else you want. But if you know your customer really well, and of course you do because you have that experience, then you know what they want at that particular point in their journey, and then you can kind of reach them with automation and all these kind of tools. Exactly. So it makes it really, really much more simple. Speaking of, are you considering using SMS in combination with your email?
Yeah, actually. Funny you say. I guess talking about automation, and then the next step always been SMS for us. And maybe we're a little cliche, but there was that point in time where it's like, is SMS too invasive? Is it something we want to, do we want to be that direct with our customers, so to speak, being such a new way to, achieve, that extra connection was always a bit of like, we'll see how that goes. SMS has been around for a few years now, and I think I had a conversation with someone at Omnisend a few years ago, and they mentioned that SMS, very much could be the new email list. And, I couldn't argue with that. It's something that I was starting to become more aware of. I myself was getting more messages directly from brands that that I shop with constantly. So it made a lot of sense. And I kind of, with our business, and my wife's very much the same. It's like, you put yourself in that position. If a brand had messaged me directly, how would I respond? And typically it's positive. People get connected with brands, and if they're selling good products and the messages are, done well and for a purpose, we're something that we want to get involved with. So I guess at the start, with an early conversation in Omnisend, the first step was just building the SMS list. We couldn't really go too far and start planning around how we would campaign with that list, but building that list was our first, step. So I think we didn't really send a campaign out until we kind of got over a few thousand, and started to, see our list grow and say, look, this is now an asset that we can now talk to our customers directly with. And, that may have been, a certain period of time. During that time, we're starting to see SMS become a lot more, normal, so to speak, with marketing. So, your original question, I think, is if we are using it. Absolutely, we are. And the first few campaigns were really just, we're having a big time for us is when we release new products, and when we have sale periods. So we're kind of reserving the list for something special. So I think our first one was a sale period, maybe last year during Black Friday. I can't quite remember exactly, but I remember sending it and being like, wow, you can see the traffic drive straight away. It's very unique in the way that, people do press, they may be more aware of their text messages than their email inbox, basically. So, the first few campaigns were really good. We kind of found that we were reaching probably more customers than we typically would with our email list. And it's now we're just starting to involve that in with our automations. I spoke to Heather at Omnisend just the other day, so relations employee there, and it was really, it was almost like the same conversations I was having when we were first talking about SMS. It was like, do I want to include this with our automations? Because now I'm precious about how well our automations are working. Do I want to start layering it with SMS? And what we've done is just include a welcome SMS. Very simple. Thanks for joining our list. We'll basically be in touch when exciting things happen in the future. So it's not so much a sales type revenue raiser. It's more of that getting to know the customer, becoming a lot more personable with direct shop. So and our customers, our return rate is fantastic, and I think that comes back to the work we do with campaigning through email. They'll find us in all different places, but email is that key component where you speak directly, as opposed to pay-per-click advertising. Where it's very fleeting, so to speak.
It is. Competitive and expensive.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you don't get to really own that.
Exactly.
Like you own your list at the end of the day, and those customers have decided that you're worthy of them giving their phone number over to you or their email address. And that's the powerful thing, because you can then sort of build that trust.
You can.
Yeah.
And the great thing about email marketing is that it's opt-in. So the customer, you have that audience because they wanted to hear from you, right? And with PPC, with pay-per-click, it's a bit complicated.
It's complicated, but there's levels. It's sort of, marketing is a big wide world, especially on the internet, and you want to excite people, but you also want to build trust. And I mean, that underlying thing with our brand is just building trust the whole way. Making sure product is perfect and is created like we wanted it to, delivering it on time, speaking to customers, throughout the whole process, either through email or SMS. But I'm just thinking of other automations we use is like a connection to our reviews widget. We use another company to request reviews from customers, and that's really well linked in, and it was like an API hookup with Omnisend. So that's an automation that kind of sends out, X amount of days after the product was purchased. So, there's a whole range of things really.
You can do a lot.
Yeah.
You can do it very well as well. It's funny that you said that you started SMS with campaigns, because we had another interview and the person said that they were a bit scared that it's going to be invasive. So they just slid it into their automations, their welcome automations, just to see how people respond. And then when they responded well, that's when they decided to send out SMS
Okay, yeah.
campaigns.
We went them all the Band-Aid, tear the Band-Aid off.
Yeah. But yeah, like SMS is great for these like sales, urgencies, product launches, product recommendations. It's so
Absolutely.
great.
Yeah. And it's people are very aware of it now.
Yeah.
You know, it's very common.
I think that, for example, when I was younger and many other marketers around this age, SMS may have been a little bit spammier back in our days when you got an SMS from weird, sometimes you didn't even sign up for them, you never heard of them, and then you get this SMS, which could be phishing or some hacking.
Yeah, so as regulation increased, I guess,
Yeah.
that type of thing, yeah.
So you said you're collecting subscribers, right? So you're using Omnisend's multi-step forms to collect email and SMS subscribers. How is that performing, by the way?
Yeah, really well. I thought it was performing well, and I spoke to Heather the other day, and she said we're doing a lot better than a standard sign-up rate, which is fantastic. I think we're up about 5%.
Nice.
With a two-step form. Again, we were apprehensive. Pop-ups are another thing that are invasive. Marketing's constantly that balance between giving information and being, just in the way, So pop-ups are one of those things that are still very relevant and, super important to stores like ours. And when the two-step form came out, it was something that I think was like the perfect answer to asking for, an email and a phone number. Because if you hit someone on the third page of your website with,
A wall.
a wall, yeah, that's it, and it's too long. You needed something snappy. The two-step form was like, here's an offer, email, and then submit. And then the next page, you get the opportunity to ask them, if you give us your phone number, there's other things that, are involved with sales and exciting things we do that are SMS only. So, it gives the customer a chance to go, no, or I've already done that. I'll have an offer with the email. So, but yeah, since then, our sign-up rate's been fantastic. It didn't drop off from our earlier form. And yeah, our SMS list has only, continued to grow, really.
Perfect. Okay, so yeah, you touched on one word that you said, invasive, when it comes to SMS. All right, so we, when we do recommend SMS, and we believe that SMS really is going to be extremely big, and now probably is a good time because a lot of brands are still hesitant to use it. But yeah, when talking about the hesitancy, why do you think that people view SMS as being invasive or as being spammy? Like, and what kind of advice would you give them now that you're on the other side?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I was that person. I hate spam. I guess when you're in marketing, you're very aware of marketing as well. So you're hypersensitive to that. So, I was, to be honest, I didn't like getting SMSs. It may have been a little bit of what you said. You're getting SMSs from companies you didn't know. There was no connection there. It was spammy as. So since then, in the last 2 years at least, SMSs have not been spammy, at least in our country. And it really is that extra layer of, communication with the customer. And we've found that just through, the small amount of campaigns we've done already. Unsubscribe rates are way lower than I would have imagined. Especially from our first one, like, as I mentioned, we done our first text campaign to our whole list. It wasn't huge at the time, but it was, it was substantial. And I really didn't know how we were going to go. The sales that were generated from that one campaign alone was exciting because I was expecting unsubscribe rate, not sales. You know what I mean? So,
I can imagine.
Yeah, so I mean, that was, for a skeptic, I was sort of like, straight away a believer. And since then, I've just started to think a little more about how to use the lists. As I mentioned before, if it's not a direct sales type revenue generator campaign, it's check out, what information we have to offer you guys, see what new things have arrived and what, things that just building that trust again.
Yeah.
And I think SMS is, as I said, I was a skeptic, and once building a list, seeing it perform, and just seeing the big one was the unsubscribe rate not really moving a bunch. That's your best indicator of, this is working. People are, listening, and they don't want you to go away. So
yeah, and again, you got their phone numbers because they wanted to give you their phone number. So it's kind of, they were expecting to get something from you at least, right?
Yeah, exactly. And again, I'm interested in over the next few months just to see how that welcome SMS goes within our automation when someone first signs up, because they won't get a surprise once we go and give them an SMS 6 months down the track, because they've already had one from us.
It's good to set up the communication style.
Yeah, exactly. Right? And that's something I learned, on the way.
Yeah, great. Second fear, we have like a group of fears so that people have SMS, right? Second one, it sounds scary. It sounds scary before you do it, and then you do it and realize actually it probably wasn't so bad. So this other one is that they think that SMS is just exceptionally expensive. It's prohibitive. Only a few select big brands can actually do SMS marketing, and the returns are not that great. So what would you say to that?
To be honest, I'd have to, when you're first exposed to the costs involved with SMS marketing, it's a new world because email's free. And you quickly understand that, it's a layer of contemplation, I guess, especially when you have a campaign you want to release. Depending on the size of your SMS list, it could cost, there may be substantial costs involved, but you have to almost balance, what the benefit is on sending that campaign, what the message is and how important that is for your customer can, most of the time outweigh any sort of cost that's involved with that. Again, seeing really great sales coming from a campaign we did early on, it was quickly, we spent X amount sending that campaign through SMS. We made, X amount back, which was, well and truly worth it. So I think there's a little bit of testing, try and see, segmentate. Since sending our first couple of campaigns of SMS, I kind of realized how important segmentation is, and for the SMS lists. So we're an Australian company, so if there's something that's directly unique to our Australian customers, we'll send an SMS out to them, which obviously is going to lower the cost if you've got a worldwide subscriber list like we do. And the same with VIP shoppers, customers that you haven't heard of from a while. Those type of segmentations are going to give you more benefit if you sort of think about what the campaign is going to say or going to ask of the customer. So the cost is there. It's something worth researching once you start to build your list. How much does it cost to send a text message within your own country as opposed to another? And just understanding what the benefits are.
And I think now we recently, could have been a month or 2 months ago, we rolled out a new sort of semi-feature about the pricing where right before you send it out, you can turn off the ones that are really expensive, like sending to Nepal or something.
I noticed that. That was only maybe a week or two ago, wasn't it?
I feel like it's maybe weeks, maybe 3 weeks ago.
That was really helpful, because before that I'd have to create a segmentation with numbers that begin with a certain country code. It was sort of doing the same thing, but the ease of use wasn't there as opposed it is now. Flicking off countries, turning them on. And I was going to say something else about that list before I started getting into that. I've forgotten now.
It'll come back. So this is great. So I would say that segmentation, I guess one thing that you mentioned is just that this pricing model is different. From email is free, and SMS you kind of have to think about it because there's an additional cost. But of course, if you're on Pro plan, you get this
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I signed up for
Okay.
Pro Plan not long ago.
Oh, okay,
So,
yeah,
yeah,
that's all right.
yeah, the pricing's good. So the way that Omnisend structures the pricing for SMS, you can tell that they're leveraging, SMS is growing. The one pain point is paying for the SMSs. So the Pro Plan basically eliminates that with, the amount that you pay for your plan is basically the amount of credits you're getting with SMS,
Exactly.
with the functionality of everything else that's involved with the platform. So yeah, I thought that was a pretty good deal.
It is. Like, if you want some of our competitors, you're paying like 3 times as much, 4
Exactly,
times as much
yeah,
for email
and-
and SMS.
Yeah. And to be honest, I get approached by other email marketing platforms constantly. And the first thing is you're looking at his pricing. And, I haven't seen any sort of deal that could really turn me off, being with Omnisend. The pricing seems really, it just seems fair, I guess, for what you're getting at the time. Again, you're learning along the way. So
Yeah.
if you were to sign up to a new email marketing platform, and they were like, it's X amount for SMS, and you get hit with, you wouldn't know what an SMS is without doing the research across
Yeah.
everything. It'd be really hard for you to understand, like, that's not a good deal, that is a good deal. So yeah. The Pro Plan has been, really good for us.
Perfect. All right, last fear, concern that people have is that SMS is probably very complicated to set up and probably complicated to send out or create an SMS campaign. How have you found this process?
Yeah, so I guess there's 2 steps in that, which is getting the numbers to begin with. So like I mentioned, I'm using a 2-step form with Omnisend, and that's going, great guns. It was fairly easy to set up. A lot of the, the tools are there for you just to input those fields for a phone number. I couldn't really see a simpler way to do it, to be honest. As you're building out your form, you can add email block, phone number block, step 1, step 2, success. It's really intuitive, the way that it's built, really easy to use. Now, I'm a designer, so I feel like I'm pretty across a lot of platforms.
Right.
Even, I could imagine my wife jumping on and being able to build them out as well. So yeah, that's step 1, which is quite easy. Setting up the campaigns is, it's not rocket science. It's just really just texting. And I guess our way of using this SMS sort of list, and it was another way of trying to ease people into us contacting them through SMS, was being very personable. So my wife basically writes them as if she's, texting one of her girlfriends.
Perfect.
And it is personable. It's a different way of marketing. It's short form. It's direct. So you have to be straight to the point, as you would be with a text. We haven't slipped in any spelling errors yet, which would probably be more,
Much more personable. Yeah.
But it really is. I mean, obviously, and as I spoke about before, you have to think about the people that you're sending it to, whether you have a segmentation or not. But the message is clear. It's short form. It's text. Maybe a lot of customers wouldn't realize before getting into SMS that when you build out a text campaign, the amount of characters sort of determines how much you pay per text. So I think when we first went to send our first one, we had this giant text with a lot of spaces and things like that. And I guess we're pulling a lot from how we speak on our emails, I guess, a little bit.
Yeah.
And you quickly realize, like, okay, if I reduce that down to half the size, it's going to cost me half the amount to send. So that was a bit of a no-brainer. But and I think we've realized that just being personable, being short form, and sending it out that way was a little more effective. But yeah, it's easy. It's hard to say it's easy because if someone hasn't used it before, but if I was to run someone through, I always use my mum as a
perfect example.
sounding board. So I'll just get her in front of the computer and say, "This is how you build out an SMS campaign." I think I could get there, which is saying a little bit. So it's not that hard.
Yeah. From our side, like, it's, if you have ever sent a text message, I think you would be okay with figuring out how to send an SMS campaign, because
Yeah.
it's adding the stuff there.
Just being mindful of the people you send them to. I guess
Yeah.
that would be a big one. Yeah.
But yeah, I think you touched on one kind of important educational moment there, which is that sometimes people approach SMS as just adapting an email and then just cutting out a few words and then that's it. But it's not really. You have to change the writing style. You have to change the tone a bit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a way to leverage off what you do and other things, you know, other forms of marketing that we do. Yeah.
Yeah.
You just have to try and work it out along the way. But yeah, it's really basic, to be honest.
Once you've done it, once you have experience, it's basic, right?
Yeah, it's easy once you know how to do it. Yeah, it's one of those things. No.
Nice. All right, so what are your future plans, email and SMS, considering the fact that Black Friday is coming up pretty soon?
Which is, that's a really exciting period for any business like ours with a bunch of products in a warehouse. Just getting excited. Sale periods are something that we don't do all that often. It brings more onus on Black Friday and that time of year. And it's a good time to use our SMS campaigns because we don't talk to people that often at large in that way. So as I mentioned, I think our first one was last year during Black Friday. So we'll do something similar with that again. But yeah, we've got a few things planned. Yeah, and November's always exciting.
It is.
Being able to talk to our customers directly, give them great offers. And yeah, just sort of that whole end of year thing, I think is, it's a good refresh for everyone. It's a way to say, thanks for the whole year away. Because our sales are, people are having babies every day. So we don't particularly see ups and downs in like particular times of year. We're not that product. So yeah, I think we typically do, a series of emails for Black Friday, whether it's, building up to a day or if it's just, a series of little days that we can do up towards the end. So, and Cyber Monday as well. So yeah, there's a few things happening.
Nice. And I'm sure Heather has some ideas as well, cooking up.
yeah, I'll be talking to her. So the CRM, is really beneficial at this time of year. It's not only getting ideas, but it's almost like getting a sense of what our industry does. The CRMs talk to that many different businesses. They've got a scope on, pool toys. It could be anything. Food products. Those type of things. They kind of bring all of these different perspectives in to sort of give you guidance on what they think could work for your customers as well. So, they're decisions we make in the end of the day, but having knowledgeable people to talk to, during that process is really helpful. So,
it's like having a marketing team member or something, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Giving you some consultation, some ideas.
Yeah, consultation is a good word for it. Yeah.
Perfect. All right, I think that's about all the questions we had. So I just want to thank you very much for all the information you gave us today. Really some great points.
Yeah, no, thanks. I kind of ramble a little bit. So.
Oh, it's fine. Rambling is good. It's like real people talking, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's good. No. So I think we got a lot here, and I think our customers and prospects they're gonna find a lot of value in this. So I just want to thank you again for talking with us today, and I hope you have a good day. Cool, not hot day.
Yeah, it's good again. Later. So.
All right.
We're all right.
See you later.